Unsolved cases are never officially closed, and the cold case team are focusing their efforts on a baffling murder which took place in 1979. The case files are held deep in the police archive. Taxi driver Jack Armstrong was bludgeoned to death, but his killer has never been caught. It's vital that today's investigators understand what was done by their predecessors on the original investigation before they can get started looking for new evidence.
Here we have in storage the boxes containing the original documents from the inquiry in 1979. There's approximately 50 plus boxes full of the old documents. This reflects really the amount of work that went into the original investigation in 1979. Now I know in total there's over 1,000 statements were taken, and in the region of 3,000 actions that were raised for officers, investigating officers who were out on the ground to conduct inquiries.
Remarkably, one of those officers from 40 years ago is now seasoned detective and cold case investigator, Jerry Blake.
Back in '79, I hadn't long joined the police force. And in particular with Jack Armstrong, I remember that it was a very difficult inquiry. I recognise some of the faces, of course, they're all a lot older now. On the left is Billy Bryant wearing his Welsh Guardsman's tie, Smudger Smith, Gordon Smudger Smith, and Mr. Viv Brooks, all looking very, very young in the day.
To have somebody like Jerry, who was part of the initial search, and then to be looking at a forensic review some 40-odd years later is invaluable.
As a young police constable in 1979, Jerry searched for the missing taxi driver. Jack Armstrong's car had been found abandoned on a dead-end lane with its interior covered in blood. But there was no sign of the missing 58-year-old family man.
50 detectives are still working on the inquiry, and the thing is still very much ongoing.
When Mr. Armstrong was reported missing, quite clearly, everyone who had any contact with him had to be seen. So that was a big exercise, and officers were pulled in from everywhere to go and follow up and contact these potential witnesses. And that's what we did. And of course, being a taxi driver and quite a sociable man as well, lots of people were seen.
Inquiries did produce a local witness. In 1979, Garth Crandon lived in the village near where Jack's taxi had been found.
I'd been for a walk with the children, and I was pushing the two of them in the pram. The car came by me very, very close, very carefully, and just went slowly by. But I thought to myself, why is he coming here? Because there's only 2 families on the moors, and it's a block end. Cars didn't come along here, so there was something odd about it without me knowing exactly what it was. The police asked me if I noticed anything about the driver. Did I see the driver? Well, I can't honestly say that I saw the driver because I was so concerned with the safety of the children. And as the car came close by me, all I saw was his arm and his shoulder, and of course he was sitting back in the seat. Really speaking, I couldn't see his face at all. Of course, standing here now, we're about half a mile from where the taxi was found. You know, it's quite disturbing, really.
It's early days into the murder of taxi driver Jack Armstrong. Jerry Blake is a detective with a wealth of experience. In 1979, he was a 26-year-old constable. He's using his first-hand memory of the case to help his colleagues identify where to look for possible new leads.
It was a very, very big search. It was a huge area.
The searches at the time amassed a mountain of evidence which may yet hold the answer to Jack's murder.
We were assisted by lots of volunteers. People came out with metal detectors. Groups of friends came out to assist with the hope of locating Jack.
The search for the missing 58-year-old father continued for 3 days, along the 25-mile route, from where Jack Armstrong picked up his fare in Cardiff to where his taxi was found abandoned.
But unfortunately, he was found, and as we suspected, he had been murdered.
Jack Armstrong's body was found 5 miles from his taxi, and it was suspected he had been killed with a hammer. The motive: robbery.
I just went into shock, really, you know. Well, I had to have an injection sedative because I was just traumatised, because I did blame myself for a long, long time. If I hadn't split up, if I hadn't gone to live with him, if I hadn't said, would you do days instead of nights, he might have still been here. And I've lived with that for 42 years. Still. Yep. That's what I mean. I need closure to get these thoughts out of my head.
Getting justice after all this time is what motivates the cold case detectives.
Here we are, Pat. This is the scene of the deposition of the body. In 1979, it looked like that.
Right.
Not a lot of difference other than this is October, the ferns are dying back. So from an undergrowth point of view, there's more growth and there's more material here now than there would be in October when this was taken. The car, we believe, was parked just here on the left-hand side, and like our car is parked just there now. After the attack, Jack is pulled from the car and dragged in about 5 to 7 metres into the undergrowth, where his body is found 3 days later.
And this track then is probably where the assault took place?
I think that's the opinion, yeah, in terms of the forensic evidence. The blood inside the car suggests that the blows happened in the car, and once Jack was subdued, so to speak, he was then dragged out to the near side, which would present then the killer dragging Jack into the ferns 5 or 7 metres.
I believe Jack has been hit by a blunt object from a person who was sitting in the back of the vehicle. I then believe that the suspect then dragged his body into the bracken and then has gone back into the vehicle and driven it down to Tros.
The thoughts I have in my head of how it happened, I can't get out of my head. If they can find out exactly what happened, my father can be put to rest properly.
The investigation at the time was a thorough investigation. So for me, what's going to detect this is DNA, is the forensic route.
The focus for the team will now be on determining which of the many 40-year-old exhibits held in the police archives might best yield traces of the killer's DNA. Deep inside the police archive at a secret location in South Wales are boxes of evidence from the taxi driver murder case. They've been meticulously stored in the hope that one day forensic science would allow their secrets to be unlocked.
In every murder investigation, especially undetected murders, we don't get rid of any exhibits whatsoever. Science always develops and our investigative techniques generally develop, because the reality is nobody can anticipate the future. And a good example, in 1979, there was effectively no mention of DNA. Now it is one of the main investigative tools that we rely on. This is the room where the exhibits of Jack Armstrong are held. In the original list, there were 326 exhibits. They're all on, shown on the register here. And obviously all these are the contents from the boot of the car itself. We've got jump leads, air freshener, and you can see there's a tin of Primrose chopped ham here. Some tools, some old tools were now rusty. And then equally, we've got, not surprising, we got 2 wheel braces here.
The initial submissions will be exhibits from the most likely area, which we believe as a team are going to yield the best possibility for DNA.
In this box we have the clothing of Jack Armstrong, the shoe, the trousers, the shirt, jacket, a right shoe and so forth, and the cardigan of Jack Armstrong.
Jack's clothing initially for me is really, really important. The hopes are to recover DNA from the person responsible. The hope is that that person is on the police system already, and then we can do a direct match on that person and find out who's responsible for this.
DNA techniques now have enhanced, they're far more sensitive, so possibly hoping that something in this box, for example, will give us that breakthrough we really need.
New forensic testing is about to begin on the clothes of Jack Armstrong. Detectives believe that the killer may have dragged him by the legs before dumping his body.
We're sampling the socks that Jack Armstrong was wearing when he died. He had to be moved from the car out to where he was found, and the perpetrator would have had to have handled him somehow to get him out the car. So we're targeting the areas we think may have been touched by the perpetrator.
The person responsible for this is a danger to the public, and there is a possibility this person responsible is still alive.
We're also looking at the trousers for any damage. Damage really, has that been caused potentially by somebody grabbing at the clothing and pulling him out of the car? If it has, can we sample around those areas and submit that for DNA profiling in case there's any DNA from anybody that's touched around and caused that damage?
When you're so involved in a case, whether it's cold case or a current case, and you send off samples just waiting for that DNA profiling to know whether you've got a match, and so much depends on those results, the waiting can be horrible.
Against Long will provide a breakthrough in the taxi driver murder case. Jack Armstrong's clothes have slowly been giving up their secrets about who might have attacked him so brutally.
Right.
Got some results from Jack's clothing.
Oh, right, okay. Any good?
Some of them are okay. They're mainly incomplete DNA profiles, though.
An incomplete profile means the team only have part of what could be the killer's DNA. Maybe, for the first time, they have a glimpse of the murderer. But it's not quite enough.
We're not going to be able to search him on the database.
Right, okay.
What we always hope for with regards to DNA profile is a full, complete DNA profile, which will then allow us to compare that fully with somebody else. So they haven't been as successful as we'd hoped they would be. So we're at a difficult stage with it.
Okay. Disappointing though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is disappointing.
Because we know he must have been dragged. We know the possibility is only one person. But as I say, it's passage of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose we'll have to see
what more can be done.
what more can be done.
Yeah.
Back at the scene of the murder, for the man leading the hunt, it feels like they are so close and yet so far. In cases like this, you need a little luck. And right now, it's not coming.
This is a disappointment, but it is the reality. This case is over 40 years old, and it's expected in this, but we will keep going. There are ups and downs in the reinvestigation and reviews. You get your highs and you get your lows, but it's the motivation to continue. Okay, there may be setbacks, but look for the next possibility and remain optimistic.
The team has to rethink where they might find new traces of the killer. And they go back to the very beginning to re-examine the attack on Jack.
I've gone back through the list of exhibits that were taken at the time, and there's lots of them, but came across DJR 19, which is the tape-ins of Jack's face.
Back in 1979, the pathologist who examined Jack's body noticed that he had been punched in the face, and so he took tape samples from Jack's bruised skin. If the killer made contact with him, he may have left a trace.
What do you think the potential is with that? Because it doesn't appear to have been, it hasn't been examined.
If he has been punched several times by the offender, then there is a chance that the offender's left some DNA on Jack's face.
Yeah.
And those tape-ins have then potentially picked that DNA up from Jack's face.
So that would be the suspect's sweat,
Skin flakes, possibly
saliva,
hair.
the hair.
Yeah, if he's been shouting at Jack, saliva may have been deposited as well and picked up in the same way.
There is the obvious potential there, isn't there?
Yes.
We need a breakthrough, but you need a bit of luck as well, don't you? And I'm always hopeful, but you're more hopeful when certain exhibits haven't been looked at previously. It's that sort of, oh my God, there could be something here.
The testing is complex and painstaking. But with the technology advancing almost on a daily basis, even the tiniest beads of sweat or saliva could be enough to unmask the killer.
We've had results from the tape-ins of Jack's face. Unfortunately, there's no profiles obtained at the moment that could potentially identify an offender. So it is quite disappointing, but there is further work that could be done, possibly in the future.
With this case, it's quite unique in that we still have all the exhibits. We still have all the documentary, the 50 boxes that have been mentioned. So it's a good case, I believe, to keep looking at. There's still work to be done. We owe this to the public. We owe this to the victims of these horrific crimes to keep going. Science will move on in 5 years, 10 years. Patience, determination, motivation. South Wales Police will never give up, and we will find somebody responsible for this.
While investigators remain positive, the fact that tests have failed to produce any new clues is difficult news for Jack's family, who've longed for a breakthrough.
whoever it was. He had no right to do that. No right whatsoever. Nobody's got the right to take another life. Oh, I hate him. Hate him with a vengeance. He's a monster. Absolute monster. I wish Dad was still here. He was taken away from me too soon. I just hate to think that he suffered like he did, because he must have done. And he is missed by a lot of people, even now.
Anyway, Dad, I'm always thinking about you, always will do. Love you to bits. Got some nice flowers for you, look.